Greetings and welcome to the Sora the Mage experiment. The channel didn't quite work. I think it is really more of an experiment. And I'm glad you could join me. I really just popped on because I've been very depressed today. Something bad has been happening in the life of Saroth / Stephen Ray. I got sacked yesterday, fired from my job, mercilessly and unbelievably, to be honest. I've worked at that job for 3 years. I've sweated blood and tears for those people. And they sacked me. There was an accident. I probably should. Who cares? I'm going to talk about it. It's on my mind. I'll probably just privatize this video afterwards because it's got absolutely nothing to do with anything to do with what the channel's supposed to be about. But I mean, it is kind of about me too. It's a way to explore my life and the ups and downs. And seeing everybody in CW's chat just now reminded me of the last time I was down and desperately depressed, and what a wonderful bunch of people there are in there. Davey, Darcy, Sam, I don't want to start naming names, but just everyone. And after last Saturday's drunken performance, which was actually the most successful live show I've ever done by millions of miles. I used to get about 100 views, and that one's at like 250 views and rising. So I really ought to get drunk and harangue and criticize things more often. Should I shred Satanism? Should I critique chaos magic? Should I mangle? Should I trash Thelema? Maybe I should, because to be honest, people do seem to like. It's easier to critique and to tear things down than to build something up on your own. But I am trying to build something here. So I'm really I just want a virtual hug from you all. I'll have a quick Peeping Live chat because I certainly wasn't planning on coming on tonight. But let's see who we got in the party. Yeah, Bucky. I mean, and this thing about I think it's a full moon here, and it's also the spring solstice. Usually, this would be a time for like. Oh, do you like my new backdrop? By the way, it's the a version anyway of the Star Tarot card, given to me by my beautiful, lovely Sora Stardust, who I'm more in love with every day. She might even be watching if she can't sleep because we're all a bit anxious at the moment. So yeah, I'll see who's in live chat. Maggie, hello, Jet Petty, Sunshine, Lisa F, Ethan, yeah, hey man. We can show the words fuck because I'm not monetized. I don't care what Google think about me. So yeah, lots of yen, 11 people in, that's groovy. And thank you, Darcy. Your hugs are appreciated. And do you think we really are related? I believe we might be because you're one of the funniest people. I remember I tuned into Brandon once and I'd just come off a huge mushroom trip and I was still absolutely out of my mind. And the things you were saying were just hilarious. So thank you for being alive. So yeah, that stream on Saturday, I must admit, I did go a little bit too far, and I said some things that I don't even believe, like that all Solomonic magic was bullshit, and that I didn't think anybody ever saw spirits, and that's not really true at all. And I did go a little bit hard on the Catholic magician sort of thing, but it was just because I picked the wrong. I kind of felt funneled. I'd been funneled into that way of thinking, and nobody forced me to. I was more than happy to have the guy that he's still a good friend of mine, although I think he was a bit displeased by the video. I'd been doing the rosary and stuff, thinking maybe there is a God, and maybe he is, and but no, there is a God, but he is not a judgmental bearded man in the sky. And I kept saying the fictional character of Jesus Christ. I don't know if he was fictional or not, but I think many of his messages, the New Testament is absolutely fine by me. And there's a lot of mystery in the Old Testament, which I won't pretend with my feeble, pea-sized brain to understand. But from now on, I'm concentrating on the real and the here and now, which for me generally is Golden Dawn magic. It is very psychological, but if something's not psychological, how can it affect you? I don't see how you can. What good is it having commerce with spirits and demons and stuff, and asking them for favors? It seems all, I mean, if you read the grimoires, they really are, understandably, of their time. Certain ones will help you find buried treasure, stolen goods returned. You'd think if you were talking to extra dimensional beings that you could ask them slightly more interesting things than to find a stash of golden coins. And you never hear many people actually finding treasure. I'm sure I'm being too literal, but I do think, I don't know, I just think the future is in the future. It's not looking back. I understand that as a reaction to some of the sillier aspects of postmodernism and chaos magic, when people were calling up superheroes, and but I do think it shows that the whole thing is psychological, and it does depend on gnosis. I remember in Liber Psychonaut and Null, there was actually a little equation which I never really understood because I don't understand equations, but it was like, basically, the deeper the gnosis, the more powerful the magic. And gnosis comes from inside, and magic affects us by changing ourselves. So if you do a spell to obtain a job or a girlfriend, it should provoke the alchemical changes in you that allow you to change, and whatever you're doing wrong, And I must admit, when I first started doing magic, I was a heroin addict. I had no chance of ever getting a job. And as soon as I started, I inherited a large sum of money from a relative I'd never heard of. I got this job, which I've now lost, unbelievably. Can I just tell you what happened? And this is the honest truth. There was two of us. The management have totally let me down so badly, it's not even real. We're constantly short-staffed. We're dealing with people with learning disabilities, many with very challenging behaviour. I've been slapped, I don't know how many times, by the guy that I key work, and I love them all, And, some of them are profoundly disabled. We need to do personal care. It's a very, very stressful environment. There were 2 staff members on that day. We started a very complicated sausage casserole. And this is the thing, the guy who has handed in his notice and is now leaving, he turned up at the disciplinary with a union rep. I wandered in on my own thinking, well, if I just tell the truth, what can go wrong? And they absolutely ripped me to shreds. I talked to him and he was like, no, they were quite nice to me. So I am going to appeal, but for now, I am out of my arse after almost exactly 3 years of absolutely dedicated service. My last staff assessment was like outstanding, very good. And to be dropped from a great height like that, there just seems to be very little justice. But I do think it's happened for a reason. I was getting increasingly unhappy with the amount of time, the amount of sleepovers I was having to do. How can I possibly commit to any sort of projects, magic, art? I used to enjoy writing. So I don't know. What I'd really like to do is do this coaching. I did a self-coaching. We spoke about this in the interview, if you're still here, Davey. Oh, names policy, man. Oh, wow. I haven't seen you for a long, long time, brother. It's good to see you. If anybody's been trying to get a hold of me on any of the old Discord servers or anything, I think I did see a message from you, Names, a while ago, but I just can't. I don't have time. Maybe now I do. Maybe now I've got nothing but time. But yeah, it is a shame, but I was feeling real down in the dumps, and it just shows you the power of community. That I was kind of moping around watching Jordan Peterson talk about, what was he talking about? The sacred and, like shamanic experiences, which was very fascinating. And I saw CW was on, jumped in, and immediately my spirits were lifted because all my friends were there. And it is good to be part of that community. And I definitely, when I was moving towards the sort of traditional magic grimoire thing, I was like, I'll try and be less skeptical, and I'll try and, have that mustard seed of faith. And it lasted a couple of months. And as soon as I read the Apostles' Creed, I don't want to offend anybody all over again. I'm sure all the devout Christians have quickly. I did lose 4 subscribers right away, but I've gained many more. And I've got one. I'd love to tell you, but I don't think it's polite to tell you. But I've got a very mega star of the occult scene subscribed to me today. A very engaging and intelligent woman, which might give you a clue, with green hair. But I'll say no more. And I am having one of my traditional low alcohol 4% fruit ciders, if that's okay with you guys. Because God knows I need it. It's a wonder I'm not like glugging back vodka, because my future is in ruin. And I even phoned up I don't know how many people are British and how many people are America, but in Britain we're getting squeezed by this evil Tory government. And they're trying to make it pretty much impossible for anybody to claim benefits or get what they're entitled to, even though I've been paying national insurance for the past 3 years and taxed to the balls. And they said, because it's gross misconduct and you contributed to your own unemployment, we may not be able to pay you any benefits, Mr. Ray. And that is a Mr. Ray. Do you like my t-shirt, by the way? I thought it was quite voodoo. It's a skull with little embroidered roses. Luciferian chic. My set could have been doing with a little bit of adjusting. But hey, it's only friends here. So where was I? Yeah, so do you want to hear the thing that actually happened? Do you want to hear? Oh, King Widow. Yeah, unbelievable. So this is what happened. There's 2 full-time staff, and there was 5 PWS, people we support in the house. Now this guy, I've had to. He's a nice enough guy, but he doesn't listen. He just wasn't. He wasn't part of the experience working team. I had prepared half the meal with one of my clients. Not one of my clients, we share them, but I went out for a cigarette break. I said, the guy was watching me cook the meal. He watched me put the heat on the pan, put 2 tablespoons of oil, and was like, okay, over to you, man. I took a cigarette break. We don't have any fixed breaks or lunch breaks or anything like that. We just have to kind of nip out for 5 minutes when we can. I don't even smoke. It's vaping nowadays. But I was out. And suddenly he appears out on the little smoking patio area. And when you've got like people around you gabbering in your ear all the time, and I was distracted and I was ill, I didn't think to say, why aren't you watching the pan? He didn't stay out for a whole cigarette even. He just came out for a quick blather, went back in. As soon as he went in, beep, 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 fire alarm goes off. I immediately knew, oh my God, that pan was on the heat. When the fire alarm goes off, the strict rules are that we have to evacuate the building, stand in a certain place, call the fire brigade. If I had only just gone in, did what my common sense was telling me to do and cover the pan with a fire blanket, it was only a tablespoonful of oil. The fire blanket would have extinguished it right away. But because we had to wait like for 15 minutes for the fire brigade to arrive, by the time we got back into the house, there was smoke damage. Not flames, not a towering inferno, no bodies flying out of windows, smoky and soot everywhere. My manager, who hasn't looked me in the eye since, I literally mean that, he hasn't been able to make eye contact with me. The team leader is different because he started before me. I'm the longest serving full-time member of staff because no one can hack that place for much more than 3 years with a constant barrage of incidents. And, being around, I hate to say it, but being around people who are, they're lovely, but their energies are all over the place, and it's not good for your own mental health to be there and doing such long shifts and then having to travel from Aberdeen to Dice and back every night. In many ways, I am relieved to be out of there. But now I've got gross misconduct that's my first ever disciplinary. I played everything by the book. I thought, as long as you're not dishonest, it's not like I'd stolen money or been necking somebody's controlled drugs. It was a simple accident. To me, that guy was the last person in the kitchen. He had a guy that no, I better not go there, but I'm feeling very aggrieved. So I really just came on to cry and to garner sympathy. It does weigh you down, yeah. Oh, great. So I walk, Darcy, Davy, enjoy being. Can you relate anything from the mushroom journey to this happening? I haven't taken mushrooms since Samhain, but I certainly plan to. Summer solstice, we used to like do up to 6 times a year, and that was like the upper limit we put on it. But I find it very difficult to even meditate and get any sort of spiritual connection because I just cannot relax my mind. And shamanism is closer to what I do than anything that you could call like discipline magic. I have done the in stops and starts the Golden Dawn curriculum up to almost the end of Theoricus, and then things moved in a different direction. I went a bit Christian. I recorded a few psalms, which I'm not ashamed of. I think everybody should. Spirituality shouldn't be like a dogmatic path. It should be like a sweet shop of delight. And you've got to do what works. And until you find something that works, there's no point in don't give up after 1 or 2 days. But if you've been doing a practice for 3 months and you're not really feeling any results, you do always find that you get a rush of phenomena to begin with. But that's, as Zen Loren would call it, that's us with a storytelling brain, isn't it? I think, Ethan, you do grimoires and stuff, don't you? I would actually like you to come on the channel. I'm going to be talking to Hermetic Principles, a guy called John Cronin, tomorrow night. Not sure if we're going to do it live or Davey. What a great man Davey is, honestly. He took a lot of time out of his morning the other day to show me how to use this OBS thing. But I was going to use it tonight. That was part of the reason I came on tonight. And I couldn't remember how to do it. So next time we do it, Davey, I mean, it's all set up. But I just need to maybe write down the steps next time. And really, I have got high hopes for this new season. I've got 4 really good interviews lined up, a couple of maybes in the bag. Where did I leave that e-cig? I can't do no show without an e-cig. You may have to forgive me for a minute. It can't be far away. Pardon me. Just close your eyes, assume the lotus position, and ohm out. Oh, where have I put it? Ah, damn it. I might have to actually. Give me 2 minutes. If I don't find it in 2 minutes. Hey! Abrahadabra, as they say. So sorry about this. I am trying to be a bit more professional, but, you know, it's only YouTube. So, let's see if I've got any. I did write a few things down after the stream because it was like I was horrified because I was so obviously drunk and talking quite a lot of nonsense. But the general thrust of the argument was true that I just can't accept. I can't accept faith. I do believe, as I said, that there is a God or some kind of something must have sparked all this consciousness. But sometimes I think, did we ourselves like bootstrap ourselves into existence? Because, scientists are looking way, way deep into space, and there doesn't seem to be anything out there. It has to be in some kind of other dimension or something. And as much as I respect these magicians who are, again, I was just tearing everyone to bits on Saturday night. I didn't mean it, because I do really respect the magicians who, like, there was a fascinating glitch bottle last week. I think it's Frater Ashen Shazan, and he has a scryer, and he talks about his experiences with these extra dimensional beings and angels. But that stuff is hard work, and I do believe that you do need. This is what stopped. I read. My major passions when I was a teenager was drinking, drugging, music, reading, and art. Van Gogh, or Van Gogh, as I like to call him, I think Van Gogh, it sounds much more realistic than Van Gogh. I'm sure, I don't know. Picasso, but Crowley was a major influence for me, but as a literary figure, I really enjoyed his writings because it was sort of iconoclastic and weird. I also very much enjoyed William Burroughs, and I think I'm going to try and get somebody on to talk about the marvelous works of William Burroughs. But I mean, these are deeply flawed humans. Don't get me wrong, William Burroughs shot his wife through the head, accidentally, perhaps. And he also had, a bit of a taste for the young boys, which I can't really approve of, but at least it it's controversial, but aren't a lot of geniuses pretty flawed, you know? I think it's because they're not constrained by consensus morality. What do you guys think? Yeah, King Widow, you've got to come back on. I've been asking and asking. That gig that you played at the Temple of Thosis, that was fantastic. I'm sure if you did it again, I've got a few more subscribers now. You know, it could really fly, man. And I've got this, I've got this keyboard. I don't know how to play keyboards, but it's amazing that you can download a free keyboard just on a little tablet like that, wire it up to an amp, and we're getting all kinds of experimental sounds. Sora Stardust, she used to drum in a band called The City Rises, and she's not musically trained either, but we have thought about doing like a John and Yoko sort of musical collaboration and making it really experimental. And like, I like experimental music. And you notice I've changed the name to the Selfimage Experiment. As soon as it's the first time I've ever seen it in blue in the Selfimage channel, it's like, okay, you've got a YouTube channel. Is that what you're trying to say? Are you begging for subs? I think the Selfimage Experiment is far more descriptive of what this actually is, because it is an absolute experiment. As you see every time I come on, I never have a damn thing prepared. The only time that I get any sense is when I do interviews. So let's just see what I wrote here. Last stream got blowback, but lots of views. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't believe the amount of views it was getting. So was that because I'd insulted people? And I think that it's a winning formula: insult people and say outrageous things and be really drunk, because people love that sort of car crash experience. You know, I still do enjoy watching. Well, let's see. I'm still self-censoring. The day, and that's what alcohol does. It stops that censorship, doesn't it? So it does make for more interesting views, but you end up offending people and occasionally making a bit. But I've never minded making a bit of a fool of myself. I mean, if I made an utter fool of myself and started like spinning on my head and my pajama bottoms fell down and I had some kind of terrible accident involving feces, that would be embarrassing. But just speaking shit when you're drunk, I mean, Scots people do it every single night of the year. So yeah, so the same thing that happened last Saturday happened at the start. I got a little bit at the very start of this YouTube channel. I was exposed to the poisonous theories of I mean, I can talk about it now because the guy that I was starting a little mini war with, one of them has completely disappeared from the whole YouTube scene. A certain large mammal with horns, shall we say, and the other one is a certain, well, he says he's a Gnostic. I've gone on against the guy personally, but I did find John Lamlash extremely, oh my God, I couldn't believe some of the things he was saying. I've got no time for racism and stuff like that. And I'd been kind of hanging about in this guy's channel, never really paying much attention to the constant references to this guy, John Lamlash. And it was the same thing that happened. I realized that I was, I thought that's a bit wrong. And then it started eating away until I'd had just that tipping point of just enough alcohol to start screaming and hollering and beating my chest and declaring war on it. And it caused a fair bit of friction, that actually. But it's all over now. It tugged at my conscience. I swallowed it down until tired, overworked, drunk. I came on, and last Saturday, I actually was going to do a far more sort of measured response to, paying a lot of respect to the Christian magic community and the Grimoire magic crowd. But it all just turned into sort of a litany of mockery and hatred. And I actually unapologetically apologized. I mean, I'm not apologizing for apologizing to them, because I had been offensive, and I had conversations with a certain person from that community, and he was like, "Oh, we took you into the community, and everybody's been so nice." And I was like, "Yeah, a couple of people were okay, but I mean, not like you guys, you know what I mean? You're my community, and sometimes you feel like, oh, I want to go over there, I want to play with those kids, but I'm sticking with these kids." But hopefully we can, you know, because you're all spiritual people, we're all interested in magic and alternative spirituality. But the main thing is, we just cannot tolerate the bullshit. I mean, this Corey Good, Jordan Sather, merry-go-round. I mean, do people actually believe that there's 20 in backs and there's a secret space program? And, you know, CW Chanter just made a brilliant program about how it's all just taken from fiction. I mean, my age group, according to YouTube, is round about my age, which is quite old. But I mean, are they targeting kids who are going to believe this stuff? I wouldn't have believed that stuff at 16 years old. That, you know, the reptilians and the blue avians, and so this is really a channel that is searching for a real spirituality, and trying to work through things. But the more and more I think about it, the more and more I think that the only time I really get a real spiritual experience is when I take psilocybin. Not acid, not anything else, just psilocybin. So I'm going to continue with that. But I do want to, you know, because you learn from your guests, you know, I've certainly learned from mine. You build friendships, and I have, you know, the Golden Dawn certainly works, but it's just a very slow alchemical process. But I mean, magic is a life's work. You can't expect instant results. So yeah, I am actually going to go back to daily praxis, and I'm going to start at practicus this time, which is the water grade. The last one was the air grade, which is all about like sort of intellectual things. So this one's going to be more emotional. It's the water. Water is, and I did learn a lot of really useful stuff, like the planetary magic side of things was very interesting, and I think that totally works. Doing things in the hour. I don't know why it works, but astrology does seem to have some weird effect on how things work right here. I mean, I feel the effects of like, I think building up to this full moon, there's been a lot of people sort of, I mean, Davey, you were drinking a bottle of Bucky and got pretty wasted on your last stream on Sunday night. I've certainly felt tense and angsty with all this stuff going on at work. So let's drink to freedom of thought, freedom of expression, experimental spirituality. That's my new buzzword. Doc Illusion, that mad genius, he's got the no hand path. I've got experimental spirituality. And I am a modernist, not a postmodernist, but I believe that you've got to try new things and do new things and combine things. So I think actually, you know, the backlash against chaos magic is this return to the perhaps overly scholarly, you know, Stephen Skinner, Joseph Peterson, is it? The other guy that's been, you know, everybody's scrabbling to find these Latin and Greek manuscripts, Hebrew, and translate them into English. But, you know, and another thing I wish I had asked, there's a thing known as sort of grimoire purism, when it says you've got to do exactly as it says in the grimoire. So if it says, you know, use an ash box of a certain length and a certain width, and wear certain fabrics and certain colors and everything, but it also says, okay, make incense using opium, cinnamon, and black cats' brains. How, and a lot of the grimoires say, you know, no substitutes. You just, if it says use, but they've never said if, you know, they actually use cat's brains, and I'd be very surprised if they did. So you can't selectively, you know, because I'm sure in the early modern times and medieval times that taking a black cat and extracting its brains for incense wasn't a big deal, you know, more brutal times. But, you know, which rules do we stick to and which rules don't we? So I'm going to try and keep it short tonight. This is just really venting, and I've kind of I was sleepy earlier on, but now I'm kind of wide awake. Yeah, I do see myself as more a sort of artistic person than a spiritual teacher. Or I mean, I was never really that spiritual. It was just I had a few weird experiences that time with the Reiki when I heard this voice saying, "We are the Pleiadians, we are the Pleiadians." That was a very bizarre experience. And the experiences I've had on the many times I've taken large doses of psilocybin. It's everything Terence McKenna says. And Jordan Peterson, I have to say, has done some really interesting work on, like, he's from Canada, so he says there's a Native American tradition there that goes back 1,300 years, 1,300 years of unbroken sort of verbal. They don't write things down. So that for me is the way forward. And the Golden Dawn, it's a bit lame in many. It's not very exciting. Thelema is more exciting, but it's got so many. I cannot find a spiritual tradition that doesn't have more drawbacks than positives for me. So maybe I should call myself Saroth the Phage, which would be a fake mage. Yeah, I do come at things and I overthink things. Or do I overthink things? Am I not just being, like an intelligent, critical person who doesn't accept things just because 100,000 magicians say that this is the way it works? I might just be spectacularly unsuccessful at mediumship and all that kind of stuff. A lot of people in the magic community have had strange experiences with entities and spirits and stuff since they were children. And I'm not saying that I've never said that they haven't had these experiences, but I do think there is something to this Zen Loran. And he's not perfect either. He was tooting his own horn a little bit too much. I thought CW was the more interesting and outstanding person in that interview. I don't know if you saw it. There was 4 parts. I thought CW Chanter came across so well, because in the old days he used to, like, I think, like me, even CW Chanter used to get nervous when he was talking to other people, and he used to tend to talk a little bit too much. But he was very measured, extremely intelligent, and I love the man. I used to talk about him all the time, and then I made a real effort not to, because, like, you don't want to be a cheerleader for somebody else. But one day he'll be cheerleading for me. Like many YouTubers, I mean, you have to be. The narcissism thing is another thing that CW Chanter talks about. There is, and that's a Sawain trip. I looked at myself. I didn't actually look at myself on YouTube. I looked back on the YouTube experience, which until then had been absolutely positive, and just I loved it. And I thought, oh my God, you're putting yourself out there. And I've said it many times. I saw this image of a monkey, a gibbering monkey, just throwing shit at the moon. And that was a metaphor for the Saroth the Mage channel as it was now. But now it's an experiment. It's all right, because I can just say, well, it was an experiment. Yes, and the thing that I always come back to is I was actually given a secret mission by the mushroom entities, which I can never reveal, but everything I do with this channel is an attempt to move slightly closer to that nefarious aim, which may be to bring about the apocalypse, like some people wrongly, I think, believe that John D. I think I do think that all these things come from our own. It's half and half. They're kind of half out there and half in there, because the universe is half out there and half in us as well. Does that make any sense? I'm going to stop soon. Oh, 18 people in chat. Wow, that's quite a lot. Right, let's just see what you're saying. Ethan, I mean, he's a 30-year-old doing his own news. It is what it is, but the points are super important if you ask me. I might have to... Aaron Leach doesn't use... yeah, he's very sort of ethical, and I know he talks a lot about, like, cultural appropriation was getting a few people in a tiz, but he did say rightly that all magic is cultural. And I was actually watching Michael W. Ford today, and he was kind of saying the same thing, that we don't really have authentic magical traditions in the West. You have to go back to Babylon and Sumeria and Arcadia, especially for the left-hand path Luciferian sort of ideas. So everything is synthesis and taking a bit of this and a bit of that. And that's, isn't that the same as anything like art and music? That, the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, all they did was use electric guitars, threw in a bit of sort of folky stuff, a bit of sort of bluesy stuff, and they came up with this new thing. It was new, kinda. So yeah, Ethan, you seem like a knowledgeable man. Yeah, there is something about the Pleiadians. Like, I mean, why? I really didn't let my ex at the time was very sort of standard New Age. She'd read all this cosmic rays, and as much as I respect her work, I don't really resonate with the real New Agey stuff, because I think so much of it has just been debunked. But why would I get this very, very strong personal thing where I saw the earth from very, very far away? There was not tears, I wasn't crying emotionally, but there was water running down my cheeks. I was kind of shaking while she was giving me Reiki, and I got this booming voice in my head like, "We are the Mysterons." It was, "We are the Pleiadians, we are the Pleiadians." And it gave me an urgent ecological message. Basically, if you don't stop, the world's, what else would aliens tell you, So I possibly was just, it zapped me onto some kind of self-hypnotic frequency where these old cliches just pop up. And after that, I started channeling, and I was never totally comfortable with it because I didn't quite believe that it was exterior beings. But I do believe that channeling can be useful if used sensibly. Use channeling sensibly, kids. Don't believe everything they say, because I have to say, when we really did believe it, we were led a merry dance, and a lot of entities will come claiming to be, we had entities claiming to be Thoth and Isis, and then we got this sort of thing where it said, okay, half of me is Thoth, half of me is Isis, call me Thosis. And we were really onto that trip for a long time, and I've kind of pulled away from it. But I still think, I mean, isn't that something like the Holy Guardian Angel? Could Thosis be a kind of Holy Guardian Angel type figure? I mean, he did speak a lot of sense, but he sold us a few, and I was really resisting doing these long, complicated rituals out in the back of the beyond. And I would go into the channel thinking, oh God, please don't let's say there's going to be another ritual. And I was like, right, it's time for another ritual. So that is strange. So when I say I've never had spirits talking to me and stuff, I have, but I just don't quite believe. I think people are awful ready to say, it's Lucifuge Rofacal, it's Baal. I did have a slightly odd experience one night when I did the Paimon seal. I was just kind of doing a rough draft in preparation. I was going to put it under my pillow and hopefully have a dream experience. But I ended up thinking, I can't really be bothered, because I was trying to figure out which. I think he should be Mercury, really, the planetary hour of Mercury. And in the end, I just ended up just kind of dropping it down by the bed, and just in that, where everything happens, that lucid sleep bit, where you're just like in a light sort of sleep, just starting to dream. And I woke up feeling like I'd been plugged into an electric socket. It was weird, scary, and almost painful, like volts of electricity coursing through my body. And I didn't know quite what to make of it. I did think that I'd instinctively felt that it had something to do with King Paimon. And I was watching Orly Stewart, J.D. Temple, and all those guys, and they were talking about like incubi and succubi, which would be the plural for incubus and succubus. these sex demons that come in, because I must say I've always quite fancied having an encounter with. I don't think they are male or female. I think they just, but doesn't everyone want to have sex with a demon? And they were talking about this exact same thing. He actually asked, or somebody asked, "Oh yeah, have you ever had that weird electricity thing?" And I thought, Jesus, it did work. But then when I tried to do the Olympic spirit Fule, I don't want to call him fool, and I think that's maybe why it didn't work, because I'd drawn the sigil, I was trying to scry in this little perfect little scrying ball. I mean, it's an acquired skill. You can't do it overnight. And because the planetary hour was so short back in January, I only had like 20 minutes to tune in and try and get Fule to talk to me. So that didn't work. But I shall persevere, and hopefully you guys will come along for the ride. How long have I been going now, guys? Yeah, I know. It's like, it's, cultural appropriation. I can see how it would be offensive maybe for like, um, in the case of Native Americans, where you're totally taking a tradition that they've kept secret and oral, and white people have somehow got hold of it and are abusing it. And I think this ayahuasca thing, it's a big, and all the millennials are flocking to the Amazon. And I've heard of, like, it's really quite bad. They're all like crammed into these massive camps. I mean, how are you going to have a beautiful mystical experience when it's just become like Ibiza was, with a dance scene in the late 80s and early 90s? British and American and European tourists went and just trashed that island. And where there's a buck, there's a buck. Now that's dying for a catchphrase. Where there's a buck, there's a brujo. Where there's a buck, where there's a dollar, there's somebody there to exploit that dollar, basically. So yeah. Hi Maggie, how's it going? Chiron says well, actually there is you never know how much to believe. Before I actually really got into YouTube, I did have one friend who was always, he actually runs tours at Roslyn Chapel now, so he's made a bit of a career out of it. It's just down the road a wee bit. And I used to say, oh, he's such a YouTube believer, because he would come out with all these really far-fetched kind of stuff. I'm sure I've heard that Native Americans do trace their lineage, and there's these blue Kachina type, which sounds a bit like blue avians, doesn't it? I mean, I do believe in the cultural subconscious, or the collective unconscious, because when you're tripping your balls off, you definitely go through, especially on the large dose. I would say even take more than 5 grams. One time I took, I'm not boasting, I don't, it's nothing clever or smart about taking a potion. I mean, psilocybin is absolutely harmless, and as Jordan Peterson was saying today, it's not as, it feels a bit psychotic sometimes, especially at the huge doses when you're seeing manted beings, and I saw like lion faced beings in sort of lycra space suits and stuff. But it's absolutely beneficial. It brought on a Kundalini experience, which gave me the idea for the channel and opened up a whole new, absolutely wonderful period in my life, where I've met some of the, people that they're not just internet, Facebook kind of, oh yeah, we're friends. We are actually friends, because we've been together for. I only really started the channel as Sora the Mage. I did 2 videos in 2012, and that was all about the kind of Thosis stuff. And I was so embarrassed by them, I swore I'd never do a video again. But on that superb, it like followed a bit of a cycle. There was one before the solstice, which was just absolutely breakthrough. It was fantastic. A struggle, when it comes on, you feel like you're being submerged in deep water, and you've got to somehow find your way to the top. And I do get a lot of sort of demonic sort of. They came. What did they look like again? They were sort of skeleton, fishy kind of looking things, and they were all offering cut a deal, and you're disorientated when they come on so fast, because what we do is we take huge amounts, chop them up really fine, put them in, just simmer them in water and make it a very, very concentrated liquid, mix up with fruit juice, fast for at least 24 hours, really, meditate as much as possible. The place where I do it often is a very isolated cottage where the river meets the sea, which is always these liminal spaces seem to be very good for magical experiments. And it's just got a very spooky vibe, and it's decorated beautifully and very sort of, it'd be hard to describe. But I honestly, the guys that want to, especially the British guys, we have talked about it, and we would be willing to actually kind of run workshops where we just kind of babysit for you and let you go through into this beautiful temple we've got and just see what happens, because it's absolutely safe. It's the safest drug, most benefit. I don't even want to call it a drug. It's just a plant or a mushroom. So yeah, I'm getting off blue and red kachinas. Oh, is that what it is? So they're not these Pleiadian creatures. I get my terminology mixed up. Thank you for the demon sex, although I'm not sure if Sora Stardust would approve. I mean, no, I mustn't be crude. But I do love Sora Stardust very much, and I'm sure should I keep this up? Should I privatize it? I never know, because like every time I do a bad stream, people unsubscribe. And although I say, oh, it's not about the subscribers or the views, I check my subscribers and my views every morning. And it's like every time I get a single subscriber, I'm like, yeah, get in there. Because anything you do, you want to be successful at, don't you? I mean, I think, I'm not, obviously, with the kind of content and the kind of shows I get, I'm never going to get like thousands of subscribers. But, I've only been going since last summer. And I'm hovering around the 278. I'm hovering. I know exactly what I'm on. 278. So it could grow. It could. And I've noticed, how come people get to use, like, one of my friends had Sympathy for the Devil by the Rolling Stones in one of their videos the other day. And they didn't get a copyright strike as far as I know. So does that mean I'm allowed to use any music that I like? Maybe if I hide it. See if I can find anything that's good. Oh, man. This is called No Quarter. Let's listen to this one, guys. I'm not a huge fan of Led Zeppelin, but this song just came into my head the other day, and my God, this is a powerful version. Keep the story. Yeah, don't delete. Reminding myself about Ann Wilson's Shafe channel. Oh yeah, Zamara. I've never heard of this Ann Wilson Shafe. Would you recommend her? Yeah, to disguise it. I put Elmore James Dust My Broom in just a little tiny little like advertiser for a stream I did once, and I got I can't remember if it was a strike or they just said they're aware. And I also got one for Brian Jones, Pipers of Jujuka. That was also like we're aware, but you didn't get a strike. But like, can they hear this? It's the bit that goes, oh no! No, what happened there? Yeah, it's the bit that goes. That guitar line just kills me, man. Show, fuck 'em. Yeah, so, and I never want to get monetized because I don't want to start. I mean, I understand why people do it, but I don't want to like have no. So I want it to be like a freak zone. This channel, a hangout for refugees from all the other places that. I think Led Zeppelin. I think it depends a lot on who owns the rights to the music. But the Rolling Stones are notoriously greedy. So how that person got away with using sympathy for the devil, I have no idea. Maybe they didn't. Yeah. See, I know that they can't do anything if it's a radio, so I'll just pretend it's a radio. And that was Led Zeppelin. But yeah. So how long have I been going? I can't see. Does it tell me? I am. Hey, Prospero! Prospero has been such a fantastic friend to this channel. You all have, you know. I really don't understand the appeal, but I'm more than glad you're here. So let's just see if I've got some more to say. Some person who, I think I don't hold that against them. They were actually part of that rosary group that I was in. Wrote one comment. They obviously hadn't watched the whole video, and it was like, oh, she really believes in God, demon, Jesus, very, but she had released a video about being judged at her Church of England church, and then came straight out and judged the hell out of me because I dared to question what she believed in. And she got very snippy with me in the comments, and I actually did think about taking that one down because I thought, well, I don't want to offend people. That's not what it's about. But after that comment, I thought, no way, it's staying up. So Rosy Beads, not sure. Yeah, I don't believe in this supernatural, really. Yeah, contradictions. That's what I was meaning. She was like, oh, it's so full of contradictions, but aren't we all? Is this person like so uncontradicted that she knows her faith, she knows that Jesus exists, that God is personally looking after her, hearing her prayers? I've no doubt that honest, sincere prayers do work, but it's this psychological action that they have. So this is what I want to do with the channel, is explore. And I think sometimes when someone with like this, he was my teacher and I love him and I still do, and he said he still loved me and he understood, but I think I was a bit overwhelmed, and he got me a really big guest. I'm not going to name him either, but you could probably imagine who it was, who he never gave me no love. And he was like, oh, he told me that you should have never taken you on as a student. And it was all very sour grapes and a little bit disappointing, for these. And the one great guy said, if you offended religious people, and he is a Christian, he said he's a Christian first, a magician second. And he said, well, I'm sure God can handle it, you know what I mean? And if they can't, well, what's that thing they say? Let he who's without guilt cast the first stone. And before you pick the stick in your brother's eye, remove the plank from your own. So there's a little bit of hypocrisy going on there. Whatever I am honest. Even though I was exaggerated because I was drunk, and things come out a bit twisted, and I had all this work shit on my mind as well. So I was all bent out of shape, man. But I really am going to go too much longer because. So yeah, I will just say again. So I think the stream with the Kybalion, which I have, again, listening to people before actually reading it myself, I dismissed as sort of pseudo new thought, nothing to do with magic, and it's nothing to do with Hermes Trismegistus. And I don't think they ever really claimed it was. They do kind of claim that the knowledge came from Hermes, but I mean, isn't the whole Hermetic tradition supposed to come from this probably a fictional character also? Solomon was fictional, Moses was fictional. It's all just it's complicated, isn't it? And the amount of information out there, the amount of information I take in just a few hours of watching YouTube, because I tend to skip about, Michael Ford one day to C.W. Chanter to Arlie Stewart to all kinds of guys. Glitch Bottle, one of my favorites. Gordon White, although I hate when he says, were you a weird kid? I wish he would really just drop that bit. Occulture is another good one. Does YouTube really need another magic channel? It does. It needs the Saroth the Mage experiment. I've always said that my channel was primarily. What is the goal with this current magic experiment? Good question. Just to explore the depths of my own psyche, and to be honest, I quite like to kind of have a laugh and use it as a kind of social sort of thing. I haven't got massive ambitions that hopefully some will develop. I have noticed that as I get less nervous, at the start I really had to force myself because I couldn't let the mushroom entities down. I had to do it. And I was a gibbering, shivering wreck. I could barely speak. I was so nervous. So I think I've noticed a difference. Americans seem to be far more comfortable in their own skins. I don't want to make sweeping generalizations, but even Glaswegians, you go to Glasgow, you go to a bar, within 5 minutes, you'll be talking to somebody, very open, cheerful, happy people. You come to Aberdeen, you go to a bar on your own, there'll be like a space around you and no one will talk to you. It's quite dour up here. And I think I do have that dourness. And even though I'm kind of, when I drink or take drugs, I get very extroverted, but I am naturally a bit of an introvert. So I think it's just exploring me and the many tunnels of Saroth. Take that how you will. If you'd like to explore my tunnels, please email me, sarothmage222 at gmail.com. Yeah, Brandon, how's it going, man? Yeah, I mean, Brandon, famously, I didn't see it, but he fell asleep on Davy's chat. We all do crazy, stupid things. I mean, let's just relax and not hold ourselves to this high stand. There's a time for high standards and there's a time just to relax. Isn't it's not like we're doing lectures at Harvard and writing papers and submitting them for peer review. We're hanging out, having a laugh, talking about interesting things that come up, and it's fun. It's fun. So the backdrop actually looks quite good. I can never get my. I've got this screen thing and it covers a multitude of sins. I'd really like to get it like one day the set's going to be perfect. I'm going to have prepared like proper notes and I'm going to do the best show ever. But until then, we'll have to put up with the experiment. So I think I will go now. Oh, DJ Nimbus. Hey, dude. Right, that was 16 people in chat. That's pretty good. But see, if I get the feeling that if I put this out, then people that are more serious minded are going to think, oh, this guy's just a fool that just is there drinking and talking to his mates. I ain't watching that. I'm going back to EA coetting and real magicians like that. Listen to this guitar bit. That's what puts me off Led Zeppelin, though. Robert Plant is too histrionic. Jimmy Page, yes. Robert Plant, yes. Lovely geezer. And John Bonham's drums are fucking solid. But yes, Led Zeppelin live. No Quarter, 1973, when the Zepp were plunging. No, I didn't mean that. What's the word? Like Vikings used to do. Not plunging. Ravaging? Rampaging across America, having anal sex with everyone. And Jimmy Page with his sexy little jacket with it. A bit like, this would be like something Jimmy Page used to have in his jacket, isn't it? And notice I am still wearing my little tiny crucifix. I am also back with my juju bag. And you may have noticed, guys, that you know what? With all the years of taking heroin and smoking crack cocaine, and my teeth were always just fine. As soon as I get put on Suboxone, which I have to put under your tongue and let it melt, both my front teeth are now, well, one of them is out, and the next one is going to have to come out too. So I like to keep it at this distance. When I'm sitting over there, I get very embarrassed about the state of my teeth. And this is another thing. Have you noticed how white Americans' teeth are compared to us British people? And I think, Davey, you made the point that it's because Americans have dental insurance, and the price of dentistry in Britain is prohibitively expensive. To get just this tooth out and just two little spares. I don't want to say false teeth, man. Mind you, I'm 50. I've earned my false teeth. It was going to be like almost £400 sterling. But now I'm unemployed. I can get it on the National Health. So I'm going to make hay where the sun shines. Yeah, Brandon, I got sacked from my job, man. They sacked me and it was incredible injustice. I'm going to appeal. Yeah, a stupid little kitchen accident. And the guy who actually left the kitchen unattended got off with a written warning, even though he's handed in his notice. And you know why? It was because he is in the union and he had a union guy with him, and I walked in there on my own. So I'm a bit shell-shocked about that, but just being here with you guys and being in CW's chat, it helped. Right, I don't want to risk my I don't want to risk getting a strike. I'm scared. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. So thank you very much, people. I'll give you all a little. Could everybody just say bye so I don't have to scroll back? And as you say goodbye, I'll give you a little bang on me gong, as I always do, just for luck. So we've got Brandon. Thank you, Brandon. We've got Ethan Ross. Very welcome, Ethan Ross. Thank you for coming. We've got Charles Williamson. Thank you so much. Oh, that's tinny and horrible. I actually preferred it when it had cloth wrapped around it. Oh, I know what to do. Names policy. Thank you so much. That's better. Prospero, love you, dude. You're so nice to me. Davey, of course, love you, man. And we'll have to do another OBS session, and I'll actually write it down this time. Maggie Woodward, thank you so much. Charles, have I said Charles? I don't want to be repeating myself. Names policy, thank you, dude. It's been a long time. It's lovely to see people come back, you know? I just got a warm, tingly feeling in my tummy. Right. That'll do it. Oh, Lisa F, are you still here? Yeah, she's driving, but thank you, Lisa F. You're a lovely, lovely person. So thanks, everyone, guys. This has been an experimental episode, but yes, I'm going to be talking to John Cronin, Hermetic Principles, about the Kabbalion. We're going to have a quick chat, and then on Sunday night, I'm either going to stream it live or I'll have a recorded interview, which I'll put out live so we can be in chat and it'll be like a premiere sort of thing. And then I'm going to have a guest every 1 or 2 weeks after that. And hopefully we can just keep the ball rolling, because this isn't my channel, it's your channel. And Saroth, the experimental mage, absolutely loves you guys. I don't know what I'd do without you. I've got my baby and I've got you guys, and my baby ain't here. So thank you very much, guys. Blessings and good night. This could be dangerous. Right, thank you very much, people. Much love. Stop, goddammit. Oh yeah, you gotta do it with your cursor, you fool.